welcome back to cooking school again. I'm going to show you a few different ways of using tomatoes today. Instead of just having tomato sandwiches, tomato sauce and tomatoes in salad all the time, one's a hot dish and the other one is a cold dish, or actually a cold side piece that you have with a salad. The first one I want to show you is a tomato and onion quiche. It really is lovely. But before we go on with the quiche, something special that you can do with pastry. Now this quiche has obviously got a pastry base to it. Now this is what you do. It's called baking blind. Whenever you're having a cold pastry dish and you don't want to actually put the filling in it and cook it because it is cold. So this called baking blind is when you put some foil into the quiche tray and then fill that with beans. Now if I take that out, bring it over, you can see that it's just the foil goes in first, the beans go on top, and the pastry actually just looks what you would expect the pastry to look like that, but it doesn't shrink that way. It doesn't mean you wear a blindfold, it just doesn't all go in. You don't start off with the pastry up here and when you pull it out there's nothing left of it. So you remember that whenever you're preparing something where you have a cold pastry. Okay? Now the product that I've got in front of me here is absolutely fabulous for this dish. It's the V Slicer. It's one of Barmic's products, naturally, because it's a good one. And what I'm going to do on that, it not only has the flat slide in there that I'm going to use, it has three. We've got one with the large teeth, we have the one with the small teeth, and the flat one, which is reversible. And I'm only going to be using these two today, so I'll just pop that one aside. Now, first of all, when you do your onions or tomatoes or any sort of slicing, it's beautiful for coleslaw too. It gives you the finest, most delicate coleslaw so quickly. You put it in like that, and to finely slice up an onion or to make onion rings, you simply just slide it backwards and forwards over the frame like that. Now the button that I've got my finger on, you gradually press that in so that when you're at the end of the food you don't have anything left but what you would normally cut off with a knife, and not even that much. Now to make the onion rings, just pop that there, you just break those up with your fingers. Now this is the base to the quiche, you put those in first. You can't see those when the quiche is finished. When you cut it and bite into it, it really does make a difference. It's not just all tomato. Now they go on the bottom of the pan, if I bring that over here so you can see it. And once the onion's in there, we then have to make a lovely cream filling to go on the top with cheese in it. These onions are a little bit strong. They tend to make you cry. Now, the tomatoes, you do those thickly. So you turn this slide over like that so that you've got a lovely thick slice. Now they get pierced into the holder as well. This is part of the unit. And your slicing is this simple. Tomatoes have never been able to be sliced like I'm doing them now because normally they go all squishy and horrible. Now, I don't need all those tomatoes. So I'll just put what I need on the tray there. There we are. Now, that's your V Slicer, and later on in the program and in other programs as well, you're going to be seeing me use it for other things as well. Okay, so if I just put this underneath, actually I won't be using that in this program, but that's for those tiny little julienne strips, the French fries that you like with your steak, and your husband loves them too. Now, the filling for this consists of whole eggs, 3 whole eggs or 4 if you want it nice and rich, some cream, lots of cream, and the cheese. Now, ordinarily you would have to grind this up first or grate it, but when you're using the Barmic's, you just place all the ingredients in, plus a few chives to give it a nice flavour, and a little bit of pepper and salt. And when you've got your Barmic's, as I said, no longer do you have to grate all that cheese up. You just put the attachment on and you just start mixing like this. It chops all the cheese up for you, mixes the cream, beats the eggs, does the whole lot all at the one time. You just squash the Barmic's down like that, you can see the cheese puree. The wonderful thing about this machine is that you can use it in any container, as you'll see later on, because I'm going to be using it in a saucepan, and that's very unusual for a mixer to be able to go into a saucepan. But it's not only a mixer, it takes the place of your blenders and grinders and all sorts of things. Now that's sufficient for that. Just give that a quick rinse. Washing up, that's it over and done with as well. Now you pour this on top of the onions, cover them completely. There we are. And then you place the tomatoes on in any particular manner. It doesn't make much difference, so long as you get that nice red colour. And you can put them on, you can put a few more on than that, but that's quite enough for now. And then just to give that little bit of a green touch to it, so it's not all red and cream, sprinkle some of the chives in between the tomatoes, and it looks lovely. Now what's the other thing we're going to do with tomatoes? No, we're not going to make sandwiches. We're actually going to make tomato jellies, and these are beautiful to serve with a salad. You make them up like an ordinary jelly using gelatine. You set them into moulds, and I'm just going to show you how to make those. They're very simple, but they're going to add a nice touch to your salads from now on. So if you come over to the hot plates with me, you can see that what I was saying before is very true. You can use your bar mix straight into the saucepan. That's not heating at the moment. You puree the tomatoes, which have to be concassed. Do you know what that means? All that means is that you take the skin off. Now you can take the seeds out as well when you say concasse, but for this particular dish, I think we'll just take the skin off and leave it as it is. Now there's two ways of doing this. You can either hold the tomato over the flame until the skin bursts and the skin actually separates from the tomato and you peel it off, or you can boil up a lot of hot water and then put the tomatoes in there. That way you can do more than one at a time. This is a nice quick way for just one tomato. And once you've done that, then you, after about 1 or 2 minutes, you quickly immerse them in cold water and the skin separates that way too. Now you just have to get that very close. I don't know if you can see, but I can. The skin's all bubbling, and in a moment you'll hear a pop. See where that little singe mark is there? Tomato will pop as the skin breaks. Just hold that nice and close to the flame. It's squealing, so it must be hot. Everyone's waiting anxiously. Actually, that little piece that you see there, I haven't gone all the way around the tomato, it takes a little bit longer than that, is what you're going to expect to see. And see how the tomato just simply peels off there? That's the easiest way of peeling it. A potato peeler doesn't work very well. So, what we've done to all these tomatoes is exactly that, but I did it the quicker method by putting them all in hot water. Now, to puree the tomatoes, first of all, just squash them down, like that, and then just stir the machine around in the saucepan. This isn't on the heat, it's not actually heating up at the moment. I'll do that once I've added the gelatine, but you can use your bar mix over really boiling liquids because it's double insulated and the motor is completely enclosed, so it's not dangerous at all. Just puree those, add the gelatine, that's what helps it to set naturally, and the tomato paste. You put the right amounts in when you get the recipe off Harry, but I'm just putting these in because I know exactly how to make this. Celery seeds. You need a few spices in there. A little bit of sugar for the tomatoes. Now that is sufficient. That's all you need to do for that. Another quick rinse for your bar mix. I'd like to show you what these look like. You actually just mould those into any shape mould that you want. Just the serving size, not something that's too big unless you actually want to cut through it. If we come over here to the service bench, you'll see the quiche that has been completed. Well, I've got more tomatoes on there, and that's what yours is going to look like. And there's your tomato jellies. So if you'd like the recipes, please write into this program. And naturally, you're going to want to hear more about the bar mix, so phone the numbers you see on the screen around Australia, and all the staff there will answer and help you with anything you want to know. Okay, we'll see you next week with the most beautiful dish. Bye for now.